Hey, everybody, and welcome to Eating at a Meeting. This is my final episode for Food Allergy Awareness Week this week. And I have the distinct honor of having this wonderful woman next to me here to chat with us today. Her name is Sung Poblete, PhD and registered nurse, and she is the CEO of 𝗲𝗄𝗏, which is the Food Allergy Research Education nonprofit organization that advocates for food allergies um, within the United States and globally, I'll say. So, hello, welcome to the show.
Well, hello there, Tracy. Thank you for having me. I have
You're
a little
welcome.
bit of a glow because I'm fresh off a vacation from Curacao, and I'm so excited to be on this show to advocate for our community.
Well, thank you so much. I wish I was at that vacation with you. Okay, I want to start off with how did you get to 𝗲𝗄𝗏? You're a registered nurse. You used to work for the cancer organization as well. So how did you come to 𝗲𝗄𝗏 and focusing on food allergies?
You know, it's been an interesting road. The cancer organization, Stand Up to Cancer, I was their first CEO, and we created an incredible organization where we raised over $850 million for cancer research and really accelerated the pace of new treatments for cancer patients. I myself touched not only by cancer, but by food allergies.
Oh,
I
wow.
have, yes, adult onset food allergies. So I wanted to take what I learned from my cancer world and bring that to food allergies so that we too can accelerate the pace of new treatment opportunities for our 33 million community members afflicted by food allergies. So here I am.
Well, wow. I mean, the fact that you ran a cancer organization and had cancer, and now you're running a food allergy organization and you have food allergies, that's really putting your mouth medicine or whatever it is, where you're, I don't even know the phrase, never mind. um, wow. And how long did you practice nursing before you started in these two roles?
You know, I probably look a lot younger than I am. I've been on faculty at Rutgers University for almost 30 years. And,
Wow.
you know, once a nurse, always a nurse. There's different aspects of nursing. So it's not just practicing the clinical aspects of nursing. There's also research. There's also being an educator and an administrator. So those four roles of nursing is something that I have done throughout my career. So I've worked, you know, in the nonprofit sector. I've worked in the for-profit sector. I've taught in academic research. I've been all over the place, but one thing is for sure, as a nurse, you think about not only your patients, but in a holistic approach. So for me, food allergies that encompass not only the physical and the biological, but also the psychological
Mhm.
space. And so it's really near and dear to my heart. Having food allergies is challenging. You've got to be resilient, you've got to be persistent, and you've got to be active with the environment in which you interact with.
Mhm.
Just
No, go ahead.
no, you know, the one thing I want to let the listeners understand is think about the fact that the next bite you take could be your last.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's pretty scary. Yeah.
It is. So how do you create a life where you're not living in fear, but being fair, informed, and educated so that you can go day to day
Mhm.
without that, fear? It's an incredible, opportunity that our organization has to make certain that the journey of a food allergic patient is as normal as it can possibly be.
Well, and 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 like you said, there's so many different things that come into that, and even just before we got on the show, you were on a plane and, telling the flight attendant you were allergic to nuts, and she ended up spilling them all over you.
Yes, she did. And, I mean, I could see how apologetic the flight attendant was. I got a hot towel so I can just wipe that off of my chest. And thankfully, I didn't have an anaphylactic reaction. But imagine, when you're thousands of feet above air, what if I didn't have my EpiPen with me, a, epinephrine auto-injector? What if I needed to have them break into their medical kit? It would be a ampule where you have to put a needle and syringe together, calculate the right dose, withdraw the medication, and then inject that. I'm a trained nurse.
Mhm.
So for me, I would know what to do. But if there wasn't a medical professional, can you imagine what that would be like?
Right. Yeah, a flight attendant trying to figure out what the right dosage is. I mean, are they even trained on that? No, probably not. And actually, while we're on that note, yesterday there was, a new, let's see, what was it called? The FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024. Can you explain what that means for people traveling?
Yes. Yes. And, hopefully the president will sign the bill into law. And what this means is that the FAA administrator will have 2 years to develop a proposed new set of rules governing the contents of what we call the emergency medical kits. And in that kit will hopefully be a epinephrine. That is either an auto injector or another form of epinephrine. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about what's going on in the treatment arena and research arena in food allergies. There are other forms of epinephrine delivery that are very close to FDA approval. So, for instance, like 𝗍𝗲. Can you imagine a nasal spray that delivers your epinephrine when you're having a anaphylactic shock? I mean, we say epi fast, epi first, but
Mhm.
with the needle, there's a lot of hesitancy, right?
Mhm.
Amongst
Yeah.
children, especially, and some adults. I mean, the joke in my family is, oh, Sung loves to give injections as long as it's not to herself, which is true, right? If someone needs an injection, I'm right there. But, I do have that sense of, oh my God, I have to stick myself. So having alternative delivery methods is going to be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and that's similar to what they do for Narcan, right? Or that
Yes,
when
it
they're
is. It is.
that would
Same
be huge.
delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's simple. And, once you're, shown how to utilize it, I think that the flight attendants will, have a really easy time assisting in times of medical emergencies up in the air. And by the way, even the epinephrine auto injectors,
Uh-huh.
when lay individuals are administering it, they sometimes inject it in the opposite side, so they inject it in their thumb. Yes, yes. So hopefully, with these new innovations, we'll be able
Right.
to avoid some of these mishaps.
Yeah, I mean, that's then you're wasting all that medicine on the wrong person, right? And not saving a life. I'm very excited next week. I'm or no, in next month I'm doing a program in San Antonio, and I was talking to the security department about their response for food allergies. And because we actually have somebody who's anaphylactic to nuts, and so we're eliminating nuts from our entire program. And he's like, "Tracy, everyone member of my team is trained on how to administer epinephrine, and we have epinephrine on site, which I've never heard a security team tell me that." And so I about jumped out of my chair and hugged him because
Yes.
that's the first hotel that I know of that has it.
That's
So
really incredible, Tracy, because that's what we call stock epinephrine, where
mhm,
the epinephrine is not specific to an individual, but it's stocked in case someone has an anaphylactic reaction. And
mhm.
kudos to that security team. Wow.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Okay, so let's jump back a little bit. And can you tell everybody about FAIR? You're the CEO of FAIR. Tell us about, I've been working with FAIR since 2013. I did some walks down in Atlanta, managed the food allergy walks down in Atlanta. But tell everybody what FAIR is and what you're doing right now.
Food allergy research and education, better known as FAIR, our mission is really simple. We want to improve the quality of life and health for those individuals that are afflicted by food allergies by incorporating what we call transformational research, education, and advocacy. One of the most shocking statistics, even though there's 10% of Americans, or more than 33 million Americans, that's 1 in 10 adults, 1 in 14 or 13 children have life-threatening food allergies. There's not a lot of research investment because we keep our community safe and there aren't deaths, lots of deaths related to anaphylactic, food allergies. And that's a shame because what we lack in research is really difficult for us to have more treatments on more treatments that are available to our community members. So,
Right.
we raise precious dollars to make certain that there are treatment opportunities through research. We also provide education because when individuals are diagnosed with food allergies, it's not just that individual, it's their entire family that's afflicted by it. So we want to make certain that they have the right education at their fingertips to take that fear and hesitancy away and make certain that they're FAIR informed and knowledgeable. And of course, while we're doing that, advocacy is a huge opportunity for us to unite the voice of the community and make certain that we have legislation such as the FAA Reauthorization Act push through Congress and make that into a law. So, for us, our whole thrust is how do we support the food allergic individual across their journey as they navigate.
That's awesome. Now, and you mentioned the 33 million American, and I want to talk some stats real quick too, just to and I like the stat because I deal in the world of adults at events. 1 in 10 is huge to me. That's a lot of people. But when I first started working with FAIR, in a volunteer capacity, it was 15 million Americans, and then our friend Ruchi Gupta, Dr. Ruchi Gupta's study came out in 2019 and said it was 32 million, and now it's jumped to 33 million. And that's staggering, and 26 million of them are adults, which is very staggering to me. So what are some other stats that, and I like the idea of the stats to show people that there's opportunity with this, not to be scared of our stats, but to say, hey, let's feed these people.
It's first of all, I call food allergies a silent public health epidemic, right? An epidemic is more than 1 million. We're at more than 33 million. And it's a silent epidemic because most people think life-threatening food allergies, it's a diet. Well, no, this is a disease of the immune system. So this is one of the diseases where it is increasing and growing by leaps and bounds. CDC did a study several years ago, and what they found when they analyzed the time period of 2007 to 2021, the increase in food allergies was by 50%. What other disease in the United States has had that increase? While all the other disease statistics are going down, food allergies is going up. And one reason for that is even with 33 million Americans with food allergies, the National Institutes of Health budget for food allergy research is $75 million a year.
Wow.
That's
not a lot.
Nothing burger. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And we need to change that.
We do. Yeah. I mean, and I think I was talking with one of your colleagues too. I'm like, it's like we need a Michael J. Fox of the world, to help with that incident, and maybe you're that person, right? But it is staggering because we do need to find, solutions to this, and which is a probably a whole nother convoluted question about where our food, how our food is grown, and all of that stuff. Um, but is the stuff that FAIR is doing, are you seeing impact with the advocacy efforts?
We definitely are. And this three-pillar approach of research, education, and advocacy, these three strongholds go hand in hand to support the journey of a food allergic patient. While we're working with them to raise awareness and provide education, not only for the family, but for the medical and healthcare professionals and those that don't have food allergies, for instance,
Mhm.
we need to chip away at finding new treatment options for the 33 million Americans and also figuring out how to prevent food allergies. And
Mhm.
you mentioned Dr. Ruchi Gupta, who is a really dear friend of FAIR. She has one of the largest preventative food allergy studies where between 4 to 6 months, we do early introduction of top 9 allergens, because what we find is when you introduce these foods early and often, they have a less probability of developing food allergies.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
preventing food allergies is tremendous. And recently we had a huge win for our food allergy community when we had Xolair approved for the food allergy indication. And believe it or not, there's only 2 FDA approvals in food allergies. Can
Wow.
you imagine? One is
Mm.
only for peanut allergies, and then most recently Xolair.
Wow. We need a lot more of that. Yeah.
We do.
Okay, so I kind of want to jump on that because you have adult onset food allergies. So if we're doing early introduction, of this into children, how will that end up precluding adult onset, or is that still something? I mean, our bodies change and things happen. So the fact that there's 26 million adults with food allergies, how do we prevent that?
Tracy, the only way to figure out an answer for this, we have to invest in research.
Mhm.
We need science to help us figure out what is happening in our immune system and how could we prevent this and stop this incredibly challenging disease from taking over. I think all of us, saw the incredible opportunity that cancer immunology did, right? It's the
Mhm.
new pillar in treatment for the cancer armamentarium. We've had surgery since the BC days, right? You can see in the Egyptian tombs where they carved out tumors, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, and then within the last 13, 14 years, we had this immunotherapy as another pillar. I think in food allergies, we need that kind of incentive. And we're going to
Mhm.
get there because we are the largest team that no one has heard of. Can you imagine? We're a team of 33 million Americans strong, and we
Right.
are relentless, and we're vigilant, and we are resilient. If we can figure out a way to come together, I mean, if every food allergic individual donated $10, if
Right.
every friend, ally donated $10, we would have enough money to solve for this. And that's my goal, and that's like my dream. If we could get enough funds to have the best and the brightest scientists help us figure out, the
Mhm.
food allergies and unlock the secrets of this, wow, that will be amazing.
Allergy table on, Instagram is like, "Yes!" with an exclamation point.
Yes.
Yes, let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. So one of the things too that comes with food allergies, and I want to jump back in a few minutes in talking about adult onset. Um, and there's been some incidences of bullying that have been out in the media. around food allergies. And actually, before I talk about those, I actually witnessed one years ago. I was planning an event, and a gentleman had an allergy to wheat, and he was sitting at the banquet table with his colleagues, and they just kept kind of like, "Oh no, he can't have that, but he can have that," and they just kept taunting him and answering questions on his behalf when he's totally capable. I mean, he's a 50 something year old man. He ended up getting up from that table and moving to the staff table to hang out with us because he was just so pent up, and annoyed by that. So, and then how do we? Bullying is a real thing, and a serious issue, especially around food allergies. And there's been a couple of things that Fairs has really stepped into the arena to help fight those things. Can you talk about, one, the Uber Eats, and two, the Texas football player?
Absolutely. But I also want to address, the individual you just mentioned, the 57-year-old man. He's an adult and he did what he had to do, get up from that table and go elsewhere. But what if you're a child?
Hmm.
I hate going into elementary schools where there are the allergy table. I mean,
Hmm.
you're just trying to fit in and you have to sit by yourself if there isn't
Right.
another kid, with food allergies. So taking that mentality and taking the mentality of, Hollywood and the sports arena where food allergies are made fun of, that is
Hmm.
no longer acceptable. And the example that I want to give you is the Carter Mannon example out in Texas. This young man, what a brave young man. He's a football player, and he shared with his football team that he had a peanut allergy. And the team said, well, what would happen if you were in contact with peanuts? And he said, it could kill me. The next day, these kids put peanuts all over his locker, in his cleats, rubbed it on his uniform. And Carter, when he put the uniform on, he just started breaking out into hives. And
Wow.
he knew he was having an anaphylactic reaction. He was able to give himself an epinephrine and not go into anaphylaxis. But the sad tragedy of this is that the school board did not consider this bullying because Carter Mannon is like 6'2" and he's a big, kid. And
Right.
he's not afraid physically, but they didn't take into account the fact that they gave this kid kryptonite,
Hmm.
and it doesn't matter how big or how strong you are. If you've got kryptonite, look what happens to Superman. And
Right.
the family had to move because of all the extra bullying that
Wow.
came with it. And so the parents, sold their dream house and had to move to another town because the bullying just
That's
didn't stop.
horrible.
It's horrible. And you know what's even worse? We heard that when the football season was over and the parents got together, they all did a shot of peanuts. And I just want you to know that it's the parents that should set a standard
Hmm.
and set an understanding to the kids of what it is to be a kind individual, someone who's inclusive, and someone who steps forward with love and gratitude. So when you hear a story like that, you wonder, how will that community ever heal? How will that community ever learn?
Right. Yeah. That's just horrible.
It is horrible. It really is. And I did hear that the kid who instigated the bullying, he had won a scholarship, football scholarship to, I believe, University of Texas, and that scholarship was rescinded. And
That's awesome.
even even with that lesson, you think about the balance. Here's a kid who probably did something that he shouldn't have done and understands that now,
Mhm.
hopefully. But to have his entire life affected, that's a travesty too. And instead of the community coming together to create a teachable moment, they do
Right.
peanut shots. So I'm devastated by how all of this unfolded. And I hope that in the near future, they will have an opportunity to learn from this and grow from this
Right.
and say, when that mistake was made, what could the school board have done to change the conversation and work with the
Hmm.
family, work with the community so that this child could also have a future?
Right.
I mean, this ruined so many lives in ways that it really didn't need to. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, I mean, it ruined multiple lives. You're exactly right. And we need to figure out how to control bullying. I'm like, or and it's a multi-step approach, I know, and it's hard to do, but I think we all need to stick through it. And I appreciate, where FAIR is coming from and helping in fighting that, and all the organizations in this community of 33 million that are trying to do this, because it's not right. We want to just live and eat and not die. And like you said earlier, like your next bite could be your last. Yeah. Now, one of the things, I'm kind of reminded of it all the time, was around the Super Bowl and when Jennifer Aniston's still doing her Uber Eats ads. But there was an incident with the Uber Eats, but I know there were some conversations with them to pull a portion of that Uber Eats ad out before it aired on the Super Bowl. Can you talk about that a little bit and how they've been receptive to it?
Absolutely. It's so funny. I was on another vacation when
What?
I know when one of our board members texted me and said, "I'm really disappointed. Um, Here's a clip of the Uber Eats commercial." And once again, the food allergy community is the punchline. I watched it and I got really upset because one of the segments was an individual. First of all, the premise of the commercial is you have to forget something to remember something.
Right.
And a individual who's allergic to peanuts forgot that there was peanut in peanut butter. So what you see is this man having an anaphylactic reaction. And, he's the butt of the joke. And when I saw that commercial, I said, you know what? Enough is enough. And we had a lot of conversation within FAIR. And some of our FAIR colleagues said, Sung, that happens a lot, but there's not a lot we can do. And I said, wait a minute, are you telling me that we can't do or say anything about this? And I probably had a couple of explicit, oh my God, curse words. Yes, I
Yes.
probably, had some curse words. And I said, you know what? I think the food allergy community has been punched in the face so many times that when you get hit, you're numb to it. We
Mhm.
have to do something. We have to do something with one voice. And this is where I think the power of our community comes through. And we didn't want to create a hostile moment because we wanted to gain Uber as an ally and a potential champion, right? Why be adversarial when you can create a teachable moment and get them on your team of 33 plus million? And
Right.
so we were able to reach out to Uber and we talked them through why this was a horrible, horrible commercial. And they agreed. And they too have employees with food allergies and they got it. And they did something phenomenal. To change a Super Bowl commercial is not easy once it's locked in and at the network. But they did what they had to do to make that change. So, we consider that a huge win for our community.
Yeah, oh, I agree. And that commercial, the whole commercial, because it was a bunch of different clips of people forgetting things, it didn't impact the whole commercial at all,
No,
right?
not at all. Not at
Not at all.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus having something in there that was kind of a bullying situation and making fun of. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we have still a great amount of work to do with the entertainment industry and the sports industry. That food allergy is not a punchline, but I think that we can do it by creating more allies instead
Mhm.
of being antagonistic. Because you know what? Once individuals understand that this is a disease and not a diet, and people die from this, they're like, okay, how do we change the conversation? And so
Right.
we're going to win them over one by one.
That's good. But a lot faster.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the power of the community, right? There's
Right.
33 million
Exactly.
of us. Yeah.
All right. So I do want to jump back to adult onset food allergies. So you said you acquired or became allergic to some foods as an adult. How what age were you when that happened, if I can ask that? And
Absolutely.
how did that come about?
You know, I'm one of those people that consider themselves a triple threat. And I have to tell you, I was with someone yesterday who is an actor, who's a dancer, who's a singer. That's a real triple threat. Me, I have eczema, asthma, and food allergies. The atopic march triple threat, not the one that you want, but I was born with eczema, atopic dermatitis, have asthma since childhood, and I thought I literally missed that third bullet of food allergies. But when I was 25, I was diagnosed with life-threatening food allergies. And it was so weird because if I wasn't at a medical event, I don't think I would have survived.
Oh
And
wow.
I was enjoying this incredible seafood tower, and I was really enjoying lots of fruits and vegetables when all of a sudden I ended up with angioedema. And that means like your entire face, your throat, everything starts swelling up. And, this
Wow.
medical, event was fortunately at a hospital. And several of the doctors noticed what was happening to me. They literally carried me to the emergency room. And when they took my intake, they said, "Oh, you've got seafood allergies." And I said, "Well, okay then." And so I get my, treatment. I get discharged with a prescription for an epi pen and onwards. Well, I'm eating a bowl of cherries, and all of a sudden I get angioedema. Give myself an EpiPen, go back to the emergency room, and it turns out that I had another anaphylactic reaction. And they're like, "Yeah, did you eat more seafood?" I'm like, "No, I didn't. I ate cherries." And it turns out that I'm one of the few individuals that have something called an oral allergy syndrome. And
Okay.
the cherry, allergy is because it's very, very close to birch. And I have a lot of pollen allergies, hay
Mhm.
fever, and that is so similar to the cherry protein that now my immune system attacks it as if it's a foreign invader. So
Wow.
my oral allergy syndrome, causes this great anaphylaxis. From then, I've learned that I'm also allergic to cantaloupes. And Tracy, when we first met, I had 10 episodes of anaphylaxis within a 6.5 month, 7 month period.
What? Wow.
I know. And now I know that I have two more allergens. One is sumac and the other one is walnuts, a tree nut allergy. So, it's every day I'm learning more about my allergens and learning to adapt and still be resilient. Um, yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. So the allergy table is saying over here on Instagram, and I'll post it somehow
Sure.
over here. It said OAS is a nightmare. She had no idea that it can trigger anaphylaxis. Yeah.
Yep.
And that impacts you mentally and physically. It's just it's the psychosomatic impact of having a food allergy?
Well, you know what? There is a lot of anxiety
Mhm.
with what goes in your mouth. And Tracy, when we met, remember, I wasn't going to any more restaurants because I
Right.
just didn't want to have another attack. But, the resilience in me said, you know what? I love meeting friends and I love, having dinner parties and I'm going to have it at my house. And so I really just kind of sharpened my cooking skills and I, love just hosting people and making certain that, what I was cooking was not only safe for me, but for others who may have food intolerances or food allergies. But here's what we don't talk about. It's not just the top nine allergens.
Mhm.
There's more than 180 different allergens that people are allergic to. So, being mindful and making certain that we create inclusive environments for all is
Mhm.
really a good goal and a good hostess to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the fact that the 180, and I was chatting with a chef yesterday from the UK, and he was talking because they've got the 14 allergens that they have to manage, um, on even on unpackaged foods, that he's like, I really am not, he's unsure of lupin, but he's like, he gets more and more requests for garlic and onion allergies as well.
That's true. And actually one of my best friends has a garlic allergy. So I've learned to use other ingredients that give
Mhm.
that flavor of garlic,
Mhm.
but it is not. So you experiment and you learn, and
Right.
I think that's the food allergy community. We're really resilient and we are freaking creative. So
We
it's
are.
always fun.
So what are, beside, you've mentioned some advocacy, but how do we effective strategies for advocating it in public spaces? You've mentioned stadiums a lot. And I know we have every year there's one day out of the baseball season that there's a peanut free zone in the baseball stadium, but how do we do that more in public spaces? And I mean, I'm excited that the hotel has the epinephrine next month, but we really need to get more public spaces to be on board with understanding the impact of allergies.
And I think that starts with making certain that everyone knows food allergy is a top tier issue in this country. And the momentum that we're building at FAIR, if you're not a fan, or if you haven't joined FAIR Team 33, please do. Because the more voice we have at FAIR, the more we can do together. And I'm telling you, Uber Eats, what an incredible moment for us because our entire community came together. And thank you so much because that is why we're able to make that change. It wasn't fair alone, it was fair bringing the entire community together. And that one strong voice did what we had to do. So if we could, converge and become that one strong voice every single day, I promise you, I will help change the world with you.
I love that. We just had Debbie Bruce from Canada join us on here, um, on Instagram as well. The um, what was my next question? The misconceptions around food allergies. And you said it a couple of times. It's not a disease, or it's a disease. It's not a diet. Are there any other misconceptions that you've seen and that you're fighting to change around food allergies?
And I think, people think food is the enemy. It's not,
Mhm.
it's the disease. And I want to bring a more joyful spirit to the food allergy community with food, right? Let's fight the disease. And this is why research matters. And the
Mhm.
more we raise in terms of research, the better. I mean, we launched, $6 million of research this year, and we were so
Wow.
grateful to our community for donating, but it's going to help us answer questions. My goal, I want to raise $100 million and see if we can put 10 shots on goal. We have two treatment options for 33 million Americans. One is just for peanut allergy. That negates 84% of us. Right? Thank God for Xolair, but you know what? That is not a cure. It's a treatment option. We need more treatment options, and we need cures for our community. And I will be vocal. I will fight for it, and I will beg everyone to donate to FAIR, because without funds, we're not going to advance research. If we don't advance research, we're not going to understand this disease fully as possible, and that means we can't turn the tide. And we need to, because I don't want another generation of individuals with food allergies. Let's put ourselves out of business. That's what I tell my staff.
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what we should be fighting for, is putting ourselves out of business and making sure that there are no more food allergies. And
sign me up, Tracy. Sign me up.
And it's our advocacy, but it's also working with those food service companies, the manufacturers as well, to bring that in, to make that happen. And not even the manufacturers, but the service people, right? The servers, the chefs, the banquet captains, everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
And I want you to know, yesterday's video was thanking the food industry. Every day we're thanking, groups of individuals that make our lives so much better. And Food Allergy Awareness Week is not only about advocating for the community, it's also advocating for all of us that surround our community and make our lives so much easier. And, inclusion is important. And the one thing that I will say is at FAIR, we want to extend an inclusive dining table across the United States.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be. And talking about your videos, and I loved the one that it was last week, I believe, of the young boy who was eating at Olive Garden. And
yes.
I forgot his name, but he was so cute. But he's like, all right, this is what I want. But would you please note my allergens? And he's like, number 1 and 2 and like 5 or 6 of them. But just his composure and how he trusted himself to talk to the server. And I now I'm going to cry. But the fact that the server, the tone of the server's voice was very open and welcoming and understanding that. And hopefully that was, not canned, right? But we all need to be able to be that confident and that sure of ourselves to advocate for ourselves.
You're absolutely right. When I saw that video, I said, oh, there's the next CEO of FAIR.
Yeah.
These kids are,
yeah.
Resilient.
So very, very resilient. And you're resilient if you had 10 anaphylactic reactions in 6 months. You're not stopping.
No, but this is life, right? And I've got to be honest, food is not the enemy. I am such a foodie and I love food. I hate the disease. I really do. But I also know that with enough funding, we've got some incredible immunologists that can really help us understand and come up with new treatment opportunities. And that's where I'm at, the future of where I want to be. Food allergy, free. So let's go, people. Yeah.
Let's go. Exactly. Okay, so how can, I know you're doing a virtual walk this month, but how else can people get involved with FAIR?
Please register, sign up, and like what we do, and be a voice with us when we post, because when we show strength in numbers, everything and anything is doable. And we do this for, our community, and I do it for myself as a member of the community, but one strong voice will defeat anything and everything in our path. So please like us on Facebook, Insta, TikTok, LinkedIn, just be a part of our community and let's tackle food allergies together.
Yes, ma'am. I like that. And here's the Insta on all of it is just food allergy. That's the handle. It's easy, right, to follow. And foodallergy.org. Two final questions for you. As a person, an adult with food allergies, how can we, when we're sitting down to that table and trying to be inclusive, and actually somebody just commented in here, before I ask, I would love to see that video of the youngest guest at Olive Garden. Can you point me to it? Yes, Mary, I will send that to you. I will post it here in the chat. It was great. When you're dining out in that inclusive table, what are the ways that you, similar to that young man, what are the ways that you advocate for yourself, especially going to conferences, right? And like where you first had your first anaphylactic reaction. Going forward, what do you do to advocate for yourself in going out and attending conferences like that?
I'm always good about letting everyone know what I'm allergic to ahead of time, and so they can accommodate me. But you know what? I'm an adult and I'm very independent, so I'll look around, and if I see cantaloupes in anywhere near a
Which
fruit
is on
salad,
every event buffet.
I know. I just avoid it, and I bring my own food, or I will go and get something else. Very independent. I'm so used to doing it, but when I'm out to dinner and we have a table of individuals with multiple food allergies, we're really kind to one another. And I guess that's why we've been lifelong friends. We make certain we don't order that allergen on any of our meals so that we do what we normally do, go into each other's plates and taste. So,
That's actually a really great idea.
yeah.
And your friends let you eat off of each other's plates.
Yeah. Oh, come on, right? We are foodies. And so when we're at these incredible restaurants, you've got to taste everything, right? And that rule that I have with my friends, not ordering each other's allergens, just keeps us even closer. We're like in a little club, And so when we order for the table. Here are our allergens, and we can't eat this. And so none of us get that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great little group of friends, because everybody will like, oh, I still want to eat my shellfish or whatever. And the allergy table, I asked server to make my food and be a food for my allergens so we can share, and my best friend food for my allergens so we can share. So yeah, it's more people are doing it. Yes. And then I'm actually advocating, I'm telling meeting planners and chefs, I'm like, design your event menus free of the allergens. So those individuals don't have those challenges coming through, and participating in those food functions. So yeah. Okay, so well, actually, I am actually, because I was scrolling to find that little video, but you all had a Super Bowl champ just sign up with you all, right?
Yes, Justin McCourty, yes. And he is a food allergy dad, and he's so incredible. Please watch the video on Team 33. It's the largest, team that you haven't heard of, but you will, obviously, because we're all part of that. And please, 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 let's make this the largest team ever in the history of US. If we can make this happen, then I promise you I will go out there and raise tons of money for research and put multiple treatments on goal. Let's go. I'll do my part. If the 33 million Americans do yours, yes.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, so my final question that I ask everyone that's a guest here is, what does a safe, sustainable, and inclusive food and beverage experience look like to you?
It's literally the dining table that is being extended by FAIR across the United States. It is one of love and inclusivity, but most importantly, understanding. We live in a crazy world right now with multiple wars, and how we treat one another is something that we have control over. And so for me, if we can just extend that inclusivity wherever we are, whatever we're doing, I think that will be contagious.
That's awesome. And it's just making that table longer and making sure that we can all eat at the table and eat off of everybody's plate. That's Sung, I so appreciate you and for joining me here and for advocating for us, including us, you and I, and I think your voice, because you're a person with food allergies, adds a whole nother level to that advocacy work, and real life experiences. So thank you for sharing those with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And let's kick food allergies in the butt. Let's go.
Yes, let's go. Let's go. Let's raise lots of money and do that. So I appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We had quite a few people on Instagram and some people here on LinkedIn and Facebook watching us. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is the last episode for Food Allergy Awareness Week because I got to get on the road tomorrow. But the advocacy continues. On the 29th of this month, I'm actually talking about celiac disease because it's always also Celiac Disease Awareness Month, with 𝗬𝗂𝗫𝗃 from Celiac and Beast. So stay tuned from that. And until then, stay safe and eat well. Thanks.